What's up, guys? So back from Virginia. I did hunt Tuesday, third day. Long story short, I got in there the night before. I couldn't risk anything. It was windy. Got back in there to one spot. At daybreak, I could just make out a gobble far off, and looking at my phone there, I could tell he was just on the edge of state ground, or national forest, so federal ground. I decided I was going to go after him, get as close as I could. And as I'm going there, I was going down off a steep side. I had to get down. There's a little creek down there, and with me walking in the leaves, and I could hear the creek, I heard the gobble again, and I should have known right then that I couldn't hear that bird that I originally was hearing, because I was up top and I was just barely hearing him. So once I got across, I got up a little bit and I out-hooted and nothing. And I was like, man, that was weird. I heard that bird when I was down by the creek and walking. Why isn't he gobbling now? Well, it only took me to go 50 more yards, and I stopped to look at my phone to see exactly where I was at, and he putted and flew out of a tree. There was actually a closer gobbler that only gobbled once. So that stunk, but it happens. I mean, he gobbled once. Like I said, I was on my way to move on that other bird and didn't know he was there. Yeah, looking back, it would have been really ideal if I'd heard him gobble a couple more times, because where he was, I could have set up really good on him. I just had to loop around a little further. I did hear that other bird I originally heard twice then gobble on my way out through, and I think the last time he gobbled, he was leaving the roost, because till I got out there, I didn't hear him till he was gobbling down on private land. And then there was another bird down there on private land as well gobbling. So that's how my last day went. But back here, and now I got tail fan and beard and legs. Now what? So I'm just going to go over a way I like to display them, and a couple other ways that you can, display your tail fan, beard, and feet. Here's another little cool thing about these tail fans. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but if you look at this one here, you can count 20 tail feathers, which is pretty uncommon. A lot of times you will see them with 18. Here would be my second bird from the second day, and as you can see there would only be 18 tail feathers. I have seen them with 17. I have seen them, with 19, but 18 seems to be the most common. And then a couple rare birds will have these big 20 feather tail fans. This one does here have the barring in the fan. It also has the iridescent spots in the black stripe there, where, like, you can see this bird has just a solid black stripe. Sometimes you can see this one has a darker red or a lighter red, and then sometimes you'll get them, they'll have like these black spots here. They'll even go through the whole way through the feathers on some birds. They're all unique in their own way if you look at them close. Sometimes I'll run trail cams and get photos of birds, and then actually after I kill them, I can go back and look at my trail cameras. Well, they'll look at the pictures and look at my birds, and usually identify which one I killed. So first thing I'm going to do here with this tail fan, I am going to take my knife and separate all the short feathers from all the main tail fan feathers. Okay, so I got them separated here. Here's your actually the short feathers, and then here is my tail feathers. Next, what I'm going to do is, I cleaned it up as best as I could. Get all that meat scraped off there, as you can see. This will be the front. And next, I'm going to use borax. It's some people use salt, but borax is the best thing to use. It's going to do the same thing as far as drying it out like salt, but it's also going to deter any bugs. So I'll just take a lot of times and just jam it down in there. Anyway, Get it packed in there. You should lay your tail fan out. You can use needles and tack it out if you'd like, or any kind of pins, if you wanted to stay without it moving while you're working on it. But I'm usually okay without them. And you can actually let this dry like that. It'll probably take a couple days, but it'll dry pretty solid, and you can start with that. But I'm going to use a body filler, Bondo, and it's a 2-part mix. Use a hardener. I'll mix a little of that up. I'm going to put it right across here, and then I'm going to take these feathers, first starting with the back feathers right here, and I'll just use scissors and snip them off, so you don't even have to clean these up. And I'll lay them on real nice, and then I'll go to my next row of feathers here. I'll snip them, most of them off, and lay them on top, just like it was originally on the bird. So I've mixed my hardener in with my Bondo here. Got it like a light pink that won't set up too fast. It's only, you probably want like a ½ inch to inch of little piece of or a strip of hardener with your Bondo. You don't want to make it too red or it'll set up pretty fast on you. I'm just going to take and push that down in the feathers there. Should be pretty good right there. I'm gonna go and want my bottom feathers pretty level across there. And just taking to snip some of these off here and lay them on. As you can see, I snipped my feathers off and laid them on. You are going to have plenty of extra. I mean, you can try and use them all, but I just like to do a nice row of each feather there, and press them into the Bondo enough that they all stick. I did do a slight other layer on top of this row of feathers just so I had some more Bondo to stick these feathers in. One thing you got to watch, I'm going to actually put a paper towel on this and push it down. You don't want to get this too thick, because especially if you're going to put like a wood plaque, which I am, you want only about a ½ inch of thickness there so it slides down in between the boards. But you just let that set up, and about 15 minutes you have a tail fan ready to go on a plaque. This is what I like to use for my plaques. It's just a rough cut cedar. That side's smooth, this side's rough. You can get it I think this is a 1x6 by 8 foot piece. Pick up at Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever. I like to use cedar. It's not gonna get bugs in it, and it deters bugs. So you can use pine, oak, maple, whatever you'd like to use. But I get a rough cut cedar, and then I'll actually stain it to look like barnwood then. So now I took these, cut them at 26 inches long, ran them through the table saw, took about 1.25 inches off. I'm gonna end up fastening that right in the middle right there. Then I take the rest of the board that I have, and I do, it's about 6.5, 7 inches. You can measure actually on your tail fan. It usually goes about, depending on how far you spread those feathers, but 6.5, 7 inches will give me a nice covering right there. So I did that, I traced it out. You just round off your corners, and then you can use a bandsaw, jigsaw, pry sawzall, whatever you got access to. Next, I'm going to use this is just a brad nailer. You could use screws, just come in from the back, whatever you got. But I'm going to fasten this to that piece, and then fasten this on this piece, just like that. So now you got it all put together, and that's what you end up with. This is just how I like to do mine. I will actually take and use that is a classic gray stain, and I'll stain it gray, and then once that's dry, I'll take just like a regular white paint, put it on some cardboard, and brush a brush through it. It's called dry brushing, and then just kind of nick it at a spot or two, and it'll make it look like barnwood. But once you have that all stained and painted, just take your tail fan, which, yeah, like I said, in 15 minutes it Bondo dries and it's hard. And you got a nice tail fan there. Take and move my stuff in the way. That should. Just for a second. You can see that sits right in there. And all you got to do is just come in from the back with a screw and fasten it in there. That, or you actually could mix more Bondo up and slide it in the back there before you slide your tail fan down. But just make sure you have it on a flat surface as it dries. Take your shotgun shell. I like to, take the shotgun shell I shot the bird with. I'll put it there, and usually my tail fan here. I hang the beard from right here with it, and then as you kill your birds, you can hang your beards, right off this down here, and display quite a few birds on one plaque. You can also cut the spurs and hang them or attach them to this plaque right above the beard if you'd like. Some people will take the beard, take the brass of the shotgun shell, hang the beard or glue the beard up in the brass, and then you can take like a string and put through it and put your spurs on either side, and you can hang. So you got your spurs and your beard together. I actually like to take my spurs and do a circle like that. Just they're on a piece of wire, but you just simply cut them off, throw them in a little pot, boil the water, and then that skin will peel right off, and the hole's already through the leg. You can just run a string, a wire, and have yourself a spur necklace or something to hang on the wall like I have here. Here be one finished. You can see how it hangs on the wall there. Just got a beards tacked to it. You can use just any kind of little pin. I mean, it's cedar, so it's soft. Any kind of pin goes in. This is one I actually killed with a bow, so I have the broadhead that I shot the bird with, and the arrow on across there. But you can see it's it was stained gray, and then like I said, I just dry brush a little white on there. It kind of makes it a little more rustic to look like barnwood. That is one way to display your bird and have extra room to hang multiple beards. Here's one I shot with a shotgun, so I have the shotgun shell in the middle. I think that was the first bird I ever videotaped. I try and keep tail fans to certain birds, like my first bird ever, my first bird I videotaped, my first bird with a bow, and then like the one I'm working on today would be the first one I've ever killed in Virginia. There's another way to display your bird. This would be actually the first year I filled all my turkey tags with longbeards. That was when I just hunted PA in Maryland, but killed 4 longbeards that year, so I did them all together here. But I just have the legs dried out and pin nailed on there, and the beard to each bird underneath. Now this is like a standing leg. I'll go over that here shortly with my legs out in the garage. Now to do that standing leg, like if yeah, I've seen some guys where they'll just they let them dry like this, and they'll have a whole bunch of turkey feet across the mantle or something. It makes a cool, neat little display, especially if you get some nice hooks on birds. But just sit them on a board like this and come up through the bottom with like a 3 to 4 inch screw and run it straight up that leg, and just let it sit like that for it does take time. I mean, I'd say if you put it outside on nice warm days, and just let it sit around. It'll probably take a month or so, but once that leg fully dries, it will, you can pull that screw out and it will stand all by itself. Probably want to just cut the top of that joint bone out off there, make it a little nicer, run it in any kind of saw, cut that off, and then dip it in borax and it'll dry out nice. But that's how you do that. Yeah, so that's just a simple way to display your tail fan, beard, spurs, or feet. If you don't want to build a plaque like I did, you can order them off Amazon. You can find them, Google search them on the internet. You'll find all kinds of different plaques. You can get them engraved and stuff like that. But that's just how I display them. I like to do a tail fan for certain birds and then display a bunch of beards underneath. And I just keep my spurs in on a spur ring. But now you know what to do with your turkey when you go it this spring. I'll be heading to Maryland this weekend. It starts Monday the 19th. Hunting Maryland, and then I don't know. I guess it depends on how Maryland goes. I'd love to make it back down to Virginia. I got one more tag left, so I think about doing another 3-day trip or something down there. See how Maryland goes, but then PA starts May 1st, so I'll be hunting PA for a week or so, and then I'll probably run up to New York, put in a couple days in New York. So hopefully more turkey videos to come. Good luck to y'all this spring.